It's coming up to 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a very early start for us here, but we have a lot of work to do today. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Fendt Farm. So a couple of things have changed around the farm. You can see that I've actually brought the Hewis trailer over here. This is going to be so that we can start running grass back and forth from our silo at the main farm over there to here, because today we're going to be adding some livestock. Going to be adding cows to our farm. You can see all the bales through the window here. I finished stacking all the bales yesterday. It took a long time and was actually quite tricky to do. If I open up the door, you can see here are all of the bales stacked up in here. A lot of bales in here. Let's see, how many do I have? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of 6, so that's 36. Doubled becomes 72, another 36, 108. There's 108 hay bales in here, which is quite a lot. The rest of the hay bales that we had I actually took to the BGA and sold off, so we have a little bit of extra cash from that, which I've reinvested, and also some digestate as well as a result of selling those bales through the BGA shredder. Now, I did want to add in a second sort of trailer, another Dutch brand, and I wanted to bring in the Calico trailer, and unfortunately it crashed my game. This is my second attempt at recording this episode, because what I did the first time round was I started doing some mowing, and I started to tip some grass into these bunkers here, and it caused horrific lag with the Calico radium trailer that I was using. Absolutely horrific lag, and then my game just blue screened and died, and I thought it was a one-off, so I tried a test and it did the same again, and then I tried with a couple of different trailers, and some of them were okay, some of them were a bit iffy. I tried using this one here, which is also a mod, and that one was better but was still iffy. So in the end I've decided to go with something a little bit different. We've gone quite heavy on the Krona theme. Obviously we have Krona branding all over this map. We have a Krona garage just around the corner from us. So in the end I decided to actually get us a Krona trailer. I haven't used this actually on a Let's Play, and it's been a long time since I've used it in game. So we're going to poodle our way over to the BGA, and I'll show you the new trailer. So yeah, the plan for action today is we're going to be doing some spraying. Our crops are growing, and we do kind of need to do some spraying. Now we also have to do some weeding on our grass field. I want to make sure that hits stage 3 before we do the harvesting this time. So that kind of needs to be weeded today. I'm probably going to hire a worker to run the weeder for us, so we can just leave him and be done with it while we're doing some other bits and bobs. So we're going to spray our fields with the leaf, and I think that's going to be the final application for most, if not all, of our crops. Let's see, we sprayed them once. They got planted with a seeder that fertilizes here. They should all be at stage 2, even the beets, because both the Maestro and the Evo both put fertilizer down as their seeding. So see, they're already at stage 2. This will be the final application of fertilizer that they're going to need, and then we're also going to do some mowing as well. And we have a choice with our mowing. We can go ahead and we can use the Big M and then use a loading wagon to pick everything up, or we can do something a little bit different, which is what we're going to do today a little bit later. You see, this is the Krona trailer that I've bought. It just crashed into a pole there. Whoops. This is the trailer that I bought. 72,000 I think this cost me. Very expensive trailer, but holds a very good capacity, and of course it goes well with our Big X 580 there. So what we'll do is we'll buy the X-Disc header, and we'll need to then get a trailer to mount that header on as well, and we'll use that to mow directly into the back of this trailer, and then we can transport that to our main farm, to the silo, and store grass in there. We're going to want a good 150,000 litres or so of grass stored, I think, and then the rest of the field that we're going to mow is going to go into our bunker down by the farm, by the animal farm. So that's kind of the whole plan for today. Quite a lot of stuff that needs to get done. And as I say, we're going to start off with some spray jobs. I'm going to leave this open because we're going to come back here soon enough. But let's start off with our fertilising. Let's jump over to the main farm, jump in the lead and apply that fertiliser to all of our fields. So yeah, as I say, very busy day ahead of us today. A lot of work that we want to get done. It's a lovely start to the day as well. I mean, you can see, it's what? It's now 5:20 and lovely clear bright skies, even though the sun is still really low. This is one of my favourite times of the year, is the summer, because you get these wonderful early light days that last for a very long time. Days are at their absolute longest in the summer, so you can get a huge amount of work done, which is kind of helpful because, as I say, we do have a lot of stuff that we want to get done. First off though, we need to start fertilising, so I'm going to jump in the lead. I'm going to take it over to our beet field, we'll spray there, and then we'll work down across the rest of our fields until they're all fertilised. So here we are then with the first of our fields. Let's get unfolded. I do like watching those wheels just kind of splay themselves out a little bit every time we go into the unfold animation. Let's get the beacon off. There we go. And this won't take us too long, so we'll do this field first, and then from here we'll then go to field 10/22. We'll spray that field, move down onto 24, then 25, and then back up onto field 20 to finish off. We are going to have to refill at some point, no doubt, but hopefully we can get a good 2 or 3 fields done before that. If we can get all of 24 done, that'll be good. We'll see how quickly we can get stuff done, I suppose. See where we end up. So I'm going to shoot ahead a bit, make some real headway on our spraying, and I will catch up with you as we're kind of done with this field, moving on to the next one. Okay, so with that field done, we're moving on to our second field here. This is our big wheat field, I believe. No, wait, this is canola, isn't it? Yeah, this is our big canola field / triticale. So this one's a little bit awkwardly shaped, so we're going to have to be a little bit creative with this one. So what I'm going to do is kind of spray up to here, like this, and then from here I'm hoping if I run across the top and back again, that'll cover pretty much most, if not all, of this impasse here on the side, and then it'll free us up to then run up and down quite quickly and easily on the rest of the field. And there we go, that's another field done. So far we have done our beets, we've done our canola on 10/22, we've done our barley here on 24, now we're going to do 25. After that it's just field 20 to go, and then our spray can be put away. Our corn on 27 and 18 hasn't started growing yet. I'm not actually sure when it started growing, which is slightly concerning. You can see that the temperature today is actually 10 degrees, so it is warm enough now for that to start growing. It's still in its sort of planted state at the moment, so no growth on the field, and I don't know I don't know whether that's actually going to grow or not in time. I'm just going to hire a worker again while I check. We're still inside the planting window, which is kind of good, I suppose, but it means that that corn isn't going to come good in terms of harvesting until the end of autumn. Now, luckily, we don't need to actually have this fully grown to harvest it. It's going to be chaffed, so we can attack it at about 50% growth, I believe. I don't know whether seasons will affect the volume of chaff that we'll get from not quite fully grown corn against fully grown corn. But we might not even have the option of perhaps trying and leaving some corn and seeing. The weather might just not go in our favour. We are playing on the Wales geo, and it's going to be wet at some point in autumn. That much I'm pretty much sure of. Let's have a quick look actually. Do we have the forecast? There you can see, look, we have forecast of rain at the end of summer, and then we have a couple of cloudy days, and then the middle of autumn we've got rain forecast as well. So that is going to have an impact on the days when we can sort of chaff and thresh our crops. So yeah, we might not even have the luxury of leaving a patch of that corn to fully grow and then try chaffing that and see what kind of volume we get. I'll see if I can do that, but the weather may not allow us to actually run that sort of test. There we go, that is all of our spraying done. So our fields are now fully fertilised. They're all, or at least they should all be at stage 3. Yes, there you can see, all at stage 3. Very nice to see. So we don't have to worry about fertilising our crops anymore. What we are going to do now is, once we put this back in the shed, we're going to head back onto the farm, down by the animals. We're going to jump into the 716, get the weeder, hire a worker, and get that grass sort of raised up to its next stage, which will be stage 2. And once that's done, or once we set the worker off, we'll then be free to start working on a few other little bits and bobs. So let's jump back to our truck, make our way over there, and I'll see you in just a second. Alright, okay, so there we are, all parked up. I'm going to have to give this thing a clean at some point. It's starting to get a little bit dirty. Right. Let's just hop over the fence. Let's jump into the 716. There it is. I'm also going to need the weeder, so let's get this door open as well. Now, do I have the weight attached? Yes, I do. Good. Okay, right. So we're going to need to do a border around the field, I think, or at least in certain areas. We're going to have to probably come back and check up on the weeder in places as well, where the worker just won't work as efficiently as we need it to. But for the most part, we should be able to just sort of, hit work and be done with it. And this will clear up all those little odd bits that you see left on the field as well. All those last little bits of hay that haven't been collected, they should get instantly destroyed, just like that, by the weeder. So if we kind of just run a border around here, around the edges, this way we can definitely make sure that anything that's just gone outside of our kind of pickup radius, we can make sure that that is cleaned away, so it's not sitting there on the edge of the field. Also means we don't have to worry about the fences that do have collisions becoming an issue. Well, there are a couple. I mean, most, as we've discussed, all the fences around the roadside, they don't have collisions, which is great, but the ones that go around the animal enclosures do. So we will obviously have contact issues over there. but it's best, I think, not to have this suddenly pop out into the middle of traffic. So really am quite curious as to just how much material we can get off this when we do our second cut. It'll all be pretty much, I think, going in as chaff to our BGA, or the bunker at the farm. Probably the bunker at the farm, actually. Probably start stockpiling silage for next year. We do have quite a bit of equipment that we need to buy for our cows, which we are going to be bringing on a little bit later. We're going to need to buy a mixer, and probably going to need to buy a Juno as well, although we can possibly hold off on that for now. What else are we going to need to buy? I get the feeling I'm missing something else. We have a water trailer, we have food in the sense of, you know, we have hay. We're going to get some straw soon. We can make some grass later today, so that's not going to be an issue. Silage, well, we'll be making some silage later today as well. That'll take a couple of days to ferment. And then I think in terms of equipment, a mixer I think is the only thing that we need. We have an animal transport trailer as well, so we don't have to worry about paying for one of those. We already have one. I get this feeling I'm missing something. I can't think what it is. I don't know. I've just got this. I can't think of anything that we would possibly need other than a food mixer. But I just get this nagging feeling that there is something in the back of my mind that needs to be added, equipment-wise, to run cattle on this. And I am completely at a loss as to what it might be. No idea. Brain is screaming, trying to figure it out. Nothing is happening. So there's a little tuft of grass there. You can see I want to get rid of that. There we go, gone. That's the great thing about the weeder. It will kind of reset some of those materials that we don't quite collect. Very handy, but of course if you make the mistake of hiring a weeder on a field that you've just mowed before you've windrowed it, then you just destroy everything you've just cut. Oops. That's what I meant to do, hire cruise control, not hire a worker. I want to do the border myself first before we start going into worker territory. That there is the problem fence, the one that goes around our animal enclosures. But I want to make sure that the border is done, because I want to make sure that we don't leave any little tufts of grass or hay sort of in the fence line a little bit where they're not going to get collected. I want to make sure that they all get done. But yeah, if you accidentally hire a worker to weed your grass field and start fertilising it before you've collected all of the products that you've mowed off there, all those windrows, it'll just whip straight through those and disintegrate them instantly. So you do kind of need to plan things through if you're trying to speed your way through tasks and fertilise at the same time as collecting. You can end up just wiping out all of your product by mistake. Oh dear, voice is a little bit croaky this morning. Okay, so that's a border done all the way around this field, so all that's left now is to kind of stick him in a corner, get started, get him running up and down this section, and then when that's done, turn him loose and do the other section of the field as well. So we can get this nicely up to stage 2 and clear away all those last sort of remnants of the previous mowing. There we go. Right. So, with our worker doing that, we have other jobs that we need to get done. So, as I say, I want to add some cows today. Get some dairy livestock onto the farm. Now, for some reason, and I don't know if it's the map or if it's the geo or both, but for whatever reason, we're not getting predictive prices on our livestock. We scroll down, you can see all the crops are working absolutely fine. But then we get down to the livestock and we don't get a predictive price across the rest of the year. We're just getting a kind of a this is where we think it might be, kind of, just default average price, and then for the days that we've had already, we can see at the end of the day it'll update to show what the prices actually were. And again, they're slightly off on this as well. You can see, look at the price of the sheep there, going up as high as 7,000. I've never seen a sheep that expensive. The current price, you're looking at around 6,000 euros. It's not going to be that high. So while the actual figures themselves are a bit off, I forgot to restart the Juno, we'll do that in a second. While the figures themselves are a bit off, it does give you that kind of prediction as to roughly where they are, in terms of going up or down. And you can see that the actual price of sheep at the moment, 4,360, is just a little bit more expensive than their default 4,000 price. Now, cows, on the other hand, are traditionally pretty cheap in summer compared to the rest of the year, and they normally cost us 5,000 euros each, which is expensive, especially when you want to bring in a decent number of cows. So let's take a look and see what the price is looking like right now. Hopefully it's under 4,000. And it is 3,950. That's pretty cheap. That's not too bad at all. So we're definitely going to add some cows today. We might not necessarily add the full flock, because they may be even cheaper tomorrow. But we'll definitely add some. Now, before we do that, there are a few little bits that we need to do. We can't give them any straw, because we don't have any yet. We can't give them any silage or TMR, because we don't have the relevant materials needed for either of those things. We can give them some hay, and we can give them some grass. What we can also do is give them water. So we can give them enough of the basics to keep them ticking over for a couple of days, and then we can then kind of work on that from there. So what I'm going to do is grab a couple of hay bales from the shed. We'll take those over and sort of position those near a food trough so that we can add those in once we've got some cows. Just roll the door open. There we go. And you'll see here just how tight it gets in here when you start going, this many rows. I mean, if you look at the space that I had to work in, it's not much, is it? It really isn't much at all. If I change to the tool perspective there, you can see the back of the tractor right up against the wall there with the weight on it. That's pretty much my turning space. It's not much at all before you get into the stack. So getting all of these in here like this was hard work. It was definitely hard work. Let's try and this camera angle doesn't help as well. It's really quite tight, camera wise in here, so you can't really see what you're doing very well either. But let's try and take some bales. That's 3. It's probably 1 too many. It depends, I suppose, how many cows we bring onto the farm. Let's go drop these off around the corner. And there's something else I'm going to do as well. Obviously what we're going to do is transport a load of grass to the silo at the main farm. Just going to leave these here. We don't have any threat of rain today, at least nothing that's predicted. So we should be fine to leave those there like that. We have water just over there. There's the water trailer kind of parked up out of the way. Had to find somewhere else to put it to make space for the Vinhuis trailer. But there's an easy way for us to, at least until we have our grass supplies kind of sorted out, there's an easy way for us to bring in a nice, easy, solid supply of grass whenever we need it. So what I'm going to do is just hook up to our little chieftain here. There we go. Let's open the gate. And we're going to go and make a quick purchase at the store. So we'll take the shortcut. Hopefully we won't have any issues with the trailer. There we go, across the bridge. Nice little shortcut this. Saves us a lot of hassle. Going all the way up and down again. And here we are at the store. There we go. So let's spin the tractor around so that we can load this up. Now, one thing I have noticed using this chieftain in the past is the animations on the unload here. We have to kind of stay in because they'll start to pop down. If I jump out, oh no, this one actually seems to work. With the bale trailer version of this, one thing I noticed was that the animations would freeze as you jumped out, and then once you jump back in to restart them, you'd turn around and the legs would be fully down. It was a strange little thing that the animations would kind of freeze like that the second you jump out, but kind of carry on, and then the second you jump in they would be at their completed state. Very, very weird. Obviously it doesn't seem to affect this low loader version with these side panels. I don't really tend to use this trailer very often. I tend to use the bale one, which is why I was not expecting it to actually complete the animation there. But we are going to make a quick purchase here. Nice little cheap extra for our farm. We want, it's in miscellaneous, I think. No, it's not miscellaneous. It's in mowers. This, the little Profi hopper. We're not going to have a huge number of cows to start with, and the ones that we do have aren't going to need a massive supply of grass. So what we can do is, while we are building our supplies up, and more importantly working on getting silage, we can actually drive around inside the cow meadow just to fill this thing up and tip that directly into the food trough. So that'll save us a lot of hassle in these sort of early moments of our dairy herd by using this. Oops, turn the engine off, didn't mean to do that. There we go. So let's get this back to the farm. Just taking a little thumbnail shot there. That might, well, taking a screenshot. That might become the thumbnail for the episode. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to use. I might use something a little different, but that's a good option, I think. And there we go. So that's kind of everything we need from here right now. I'm just going to park this like this. So what's next? Well, I suppose what's next is actually bringing the cows in. So for this, I'm going to just jump over to the other farm. I'm going to grab our 826. That's going to be what we're going to use to run back and forth to the animal dealership, just because it's a bit of a trek, and this is a bit faster and a little bit more powerful than our 800 favourite. So this will help us get the job done a little bit quicker, save us a little bit of time. So we'll do this little slalom section through here. Avoiding all the bollards. It is quite tight actually when you make those turns. Those bollards there, they're fine for tractors and some of the trailers, but when you start getting some of the larger equipment, especially something like a Big X or a Big M or a harvester, then those actually become quite problematic. You have to really kind of think ahead, and more often than not what I tend to do is kind of just cut across the corners a little bit so I don't get wedged somewhere where I shouldn't. But let's go and fill up with our first load of cattle. Now we can get 9 cows in the back of this, which is more than the standard kind of Joskin Animal Trans. I think that's what it's called, the Animal Trans. I might be wrong, but the standard Joskin Animal Transport trailer will only give us 6 cows in terms of capacity, so a lot more trips. This will, while it's still not a huge number, it's certainly a lot easier for us to work with. So the quickest way for us to get to the dealership is to kind of follow the road round all the way along the bottom of the map here. So we're going to run along the bottom of field 27 up to that kind of junction at the end by field 29, and then around the corner past the dairy alongside field 14 and up to the dealership. It's a quicker, easier route. It's just a nice straight line road. Oh, and this guy's pulling out in front of us, isn't he? So let's overtake him. Bit of a run. Oh! We bounced slightly and we clipped him with the trailer. I think that's what bounced us off the road. There we go. We don't come out this way very often either as well, so it's a nice little change of scenery, I think, for us. Which is why I'm not skipping this drive. We don't, well, I don't think we've come down here at all since my map tour. We've had no need to. We don't own any land over here. We haven't had to come to the dealership before. You know, there's no nuggets to go hunting for. We can't use the dairy, so this is a largely unused section of the map for us at the moment. But we will expand into this area in the future, so it's not, you know, it's not going to be ignored permanently, just, you know, on a short temporary basis. And here is our animal dealership coming up just here on the left. Excellent stuff. So let's get the trailer into position. One thing I would like to see, and this is kind of because I've been playing pure farming a lot. On pure farming you see all these differences in costs. So if you buy something on your tablet and have it shipped to your farm, then there's a 20% markup in price on if you were to go to the dealership and buy it yourself. Which is a really nice thing. I like that. Same with fuel. You can have fuel delivered to your farm automatically to a vehicle if the tank runs dry, but it costs you quite a bit more. I think it's 50% more. It's either 20 or 50% more. And it's the same with all sorts of different things. You can have things delivered direct to your farm for you, but there's a charge. Now in this, the base price of animals is what it is, and then you have a 10% delivery charge. I don't think that's high enough. I think there needs to be more of a distinction in price between ordering at the farm and paying a 10% delivery charge on top of that as the fee, compared to actually going and getting the animals yourself, especially when you consider the cost of actually getting an animal trailer. A lot of people don't tend to bother. They just order direct. I think there needs to be more of a price distinction. We need to take some money out, don't we? We don't have anywhere near enough. So we're currently at 165,000. Our loan is going to be absolutely hammered by the end of the summer. That much I can guarantee. With new equipment coming and, you know, animals and so on and so forth, I'm going to take us up to 400,000 today. We might not spend all of it, but we'll certainly spend a chunk of it getting in some cows. So you can see we have our livestock in the back of our trailer. Let's return this to the farm and load these into our cowshed, the first of our dairy crop. So the humpback bridge that we went over is quite violent with the trailer on the way up on either side because of the angle of the join and the road there. So I might actually consider taking an alternative route. But apart from that, the trailer has been very well behaved on this map. Obviously we had some pretty severe problems with this on Seasons in the Valley before the road was updated. I haven't tried it on there since. But or have I honestly can't remember if I tried this trailer again on Seasons in the Valley once the road was fixed. I just genuinely cannot remember. But let's unfold this so we can get our cows into the shed. I do love this sort of unloading animation that we get, with the steps coming down and the little gates coming out. Now, of course, don't forget we have the bug still with Seasons where it's going to put a cow in at 1% health. Excuse me. So if we drop one in, you can see there, one cow, 1% health. So the quickest and easiest way to do this and not have to worry about paying a lot for buying a cow, selling it at a huge loss, and then buying that cow back again is just to load it, load it back into the trailer, and then unload it a second time like this, and then problem solved. No longer do we suffer with that bug. As you can see, 9 cows in, they're at 80% health, which is excellent stuff. Now, we kind of inadvertently discovered yesterday on Seasons in the Valley that is also a way to fix your animal health. If they suffer a big loss in health, you can just load them into a trailer and then load them back into the paddock again, and it resets their health back to 80%. Now, if you don't have many numbers of your animals, then that's an easy fix. Obviously, if you're talking, over 100 animals, that is, then a real problem. But it is a bit of a cheat. It's kind of a bug exploit. It's not something I like to do, and whereas I got a little bit careless with my sheep on Seasons in the Valley and inadvertently crashed their health way down, I am refusing to sort of take advantage of that little bug to restore their health all the way back up to 80% again. We made our bed, we'll lie in it kind of thing. We're not going to exploit a bug in the code to reset their health back to 80%. Alright, let's get some water in here. Very important to make sure that our animals have water. I think this is the main reason why our sheep on Seasons in the Valley started dying and their health plummeted so fast, was because they didn't have water more than anything else. I mean, obviously food is important as well, but I think that the lack of water more than anything else was the biggest issue that they had. So there we go. That is the sort of animals in and the water taken care of. Let's just close the gate for now. I need to get some hay into the food troughs, so let me let me open this door, which will kind of then cover that gap. We're going to drop a couple of bales in of hay so that they've at least got something to munch on, and then we'll also unload our little mower. There you can see that going down. Oh no, got to stay connected, which makes sense, I suppose. There we go. So let's go load a couple of bales into the food trough. We'll be adding more cows as well, but given that we are on a ×5 time scale, the longer I leave it before they start getting food and water, the bigger the chance that their health is going to start dropping. And it may well be that just having grass and hay and water isn't enough. They may actually need to have more than that as well. So their health may still go down, and if that's the case, I want to minimise just how much damage will be done to the herd until we have enough sort of other materials to make some TMR, which is going to be at least 2 days away. So there we go. That's a couple of bales. Is that enough? Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty much filled their food trough. So let's get some grass in there now as well. I'm just going to park this just here. Let's go back and get the mower. And we'll drive that into the paddock. In fact, we've probably got enough grass around here actually that we can just mow these verges a little bit. Well, maybe not. You can see we can certainly collect some of this grass. Yeah, this isn't, there's no way that our verges around here are going to be enough, but we may as well do a little bit of kind of yard tidying as well. That's the other thing as well we can do. We can kind of maintain the look of our yard a little bit with this if we want to. Just tidy up that kind of grass look around the edges where it looks a little bit long and unkempt. There we go. It's not much, but you know, you can see we have 362 litres in the back here, so I'm just going to get this end piece just here as well. There we go. Let's get inside the field. We'll actually make a few passes in there, and then once we have some grass, we'll be able to tip it directly into the food trough, which is just there on the side of the fence, as you can see. So we'll work around this area, around the food trough, get all of this kind of done, and then once we have about 3,000 litres or so, that should probably be enough. We'll empty that into the food trough, and that'll give us grass for our cows as well as hay. They'll have two different food sources to chomp on, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep their health around 80%. It may well be that, as I say, it won't be enough and that they'll start to suffer a little bit over the next couple of days, but we're going to make some we'll get some grass off the field behind the forest today, and a good chunk of that is going to be as sort of chaffable material, you know, stuff that we're going to put into a bunker down here at the farm so we can make some silage. See, we've kind of flattened out most of this grass already from driving in here with our trailer, so it doesn't really matter too much about kind of mowing around in here, but it is going to limit how much we'll get. Ideally we want to be hitting the good stuff around here where it's nice and long. Alright, let's just tip this in now and see how much we've got. Can I actually tip it on this side? Yes, just. So this will look a little bit weird, but you'll get the idea. Actually, that works quite nicely. It tips directly into the trough like that, look. Oh yeah, that's more than enough grass to keep us going, so we don't need to do any more mowing for now. So there we go. We have grass, water and hay for our cattle. We have 9 of them. I'm going to add more cattle later in the day, probably off camera, because it'll just be endless trips back and forth to the dealership to go and collect those. But for now, we have something else that we need to do. So I need this tractor again. And we need to kind of whiz over to the BGA, and actually no, we don't need to whiz over to the BGA. We can bring that with us. What I do need to do though is kind of make my way over to the field by the field by the forest via the store. There is something we need to purchase from the store, and that's the X-disc header, the X-disc header for the big X580, plus the trailer to mount it on as well, so that we can transport that along the road without being too wide and causing issues for traffic and colliding with signposts and lampposts and so on and so forth. So we'll need to actually use the big X to mount it onto the trailer. It's a shame you can't buy these mounted on a trailer. Yeah, if you're buying a trailer, it's a shame you can't have the option, or you're buying one of those, it's a shame you can't have the option to buy one with a trailer automatically, come mounted on it, rather than having to buy them separately, then bring the harvester down to mount it on the trailer separately afterwards. It's a bit of a ball ache at times, but I don't know, maybe Giants, if they're listening, we'll hear that idea and see if they can implement that into Farming Sim 19. I might email them that one as well, see what they say. You never know. If it happens, you heard it here first. So, I need to transport myself over to the BGA so that I can jump into the Big X580. We're going to drop off this header here. So let's put that in there at the back, like so. Oh, looks like our weeder is finished. I was wondering what Helper G was for a second then. And let's grab our big Krona trailer. And I'll make my way over to the store. I'll see you there in just a second. One of the things I do like about this trailer is how easy it is to line up. You've got the little flag, little red flag on the end there, well, little red sticker posting. You've also got that arrow on top of the mower itself to show you dead center. It makes it very, very easy to align exactly where you want to drop the trailer, or drop the header onto the trailer. So now that we're all connected up like that, let's make our way over to our large, and I do mean large, grass meadow that we're going to be working in for the rest of the day. And here we are. Here is the entrance to the meadow. I cut a few trees away earlier, as you can see, so we can gain nice easy access here. Let's just drop the trailer off for a second. Connect up the header. Also need to unfold the pipe. There we go. So we're going to be making a few runs. I think probably, depending on the capacity of this trailer, 3 or 4 runs with this trailer, which will be grass, which will go to the silo at the main farm. And once we've done that, the rest of it will then go into the bunkers at the animal farm to make some silage, so that we can then make some TMR for our cows. So let's start mowing and collecting. So this is an alternative method for us to actually mow than using the Big M, which would then just leave large amounts of grass on the ground. We're primarily going to be using the Big M just for hay work, I think, but we may well use it for mowing as well. I do kind of want to unleash it on this area at some point, because it is a huge area of grass for us to work with. But this, I think, is going to be a slightly more efficient way of actually getting that grass back to the farm, and it saves us having to buy a very big and expensive loading wagon as well. So I'm going to be running around filling this thing up, and once it's full we'll then kind of disconnect the trailer. The 826 will run it back to the farm, empty it in the silo, bring it back, hook back up with the Big X, carry on doing the same, and so on and so forth, until we have, you know, our very nice supply of grass available to us. And then, as I say, once that's done, we'll do the same thing, but we'll be running it to the bunkers behind the sheep. We can then fill those up, or fill one of them up as much as we can, get that fermenting later tonight, so that in 2 days' time that will then be workable silage that we can then use with our hay supplies to make some TMR. So that's kind of the basic plan for the rest of the day, is to do a lot of mowing and a lot of dumping into silos and bunkers, plus I will also be making a run back to the animal dealership later. We're making multiple runs back to the dealership later as well. So I'm going to jump ahead, and once we've made some significant progress on the mowing, I'll catch up with you a little bit later. So I've emptied 2 trailers worth of grass into the silo, so that's 112,000 litres. That should be more than enough, I think, to keep us going for a little while, now that we have the ride-along mower that we can use as well. So it's time for us to start tipping in. Now, I'm going to put a little bit into this this one here. Just enough, 2 trailers worth to make a decent amount of silage for immediate food, and then everything else is going to go into the bunker next door, so that we can then make some proper silage a little bit later on. So let's start tipping. So you can see this is actually going in, whereas before what I was having was some major issues with the other one. It was just creating a very thin line and a ridiculously heavy lag, and eventually just crashing out the game completely. But that went in really smoothly, really easily. I'm going to do, as I say, one more trailer, and then we'll start condensing and compacting that, make it into silage, which will take a couple of days to ferment, and everything else that we'll mow for the rest of the day will go into the second bunker, so that we can really start building up a very large supply there. And we'll add to that later in the year with chaff from our cornfield, field number 27, and also our second cuts will also go down there as well, or at least one of the second cuts will go down there. The other one might go straight to the BGA. Haven't quite decided yet. But when I said that this grass area was big, I wasn't joking. You're about to see just how big the area is if you haven't already seen this, because this wasn't an area I think that I featured on the map tour. I'm pretty sure I didn't feature this on the map tour. So obviously we come in here, we've got this large open expanse around here that you can see, which then runs down the side of the forest and actually kind of loops back around the other side as well. There's more trees I can remove to gain access to even more grass. But then as we come around this corner here, I mean, look at this open area that's just sort of appearing in front of us. It really does open up around here, and look how far we can run all the way along here. Huge, great big expanse of grass. We can get so much material off this field, and it's completely free. It's not even an allocated field. This is just an area of grass that is available to us. So let's just park that up there. Jump back in. Open the covers back up. And away we go. So one more trailer to give us 112,000 litres in the first bunker. That'll then get compacted, and then everything else on this field will go into the second bunker to start building up a big supply of silage. That's my job for the rest of this afternoon, is just basically running back and forth up here with this mower and this trailer, and then I will also make another run back to the store with the animal dealership with our trailer, and I will buy at least another 3 loads of cows. So that's pretty much all the time we have left for the day. You can see it's 20 to 7 at the moment, coming up to quarter to 7. I'm going to keep working probably till around about 10 o'clock, because we'll have some good daylight left, being as it's midsummer. And then I'll call it a day for the night. So I probably won't finish all of this. We may well come back and attack the rest of this grass tomorrow. But yeah, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of Fendt Farm very soon.